Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man. My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Shout out to everybody out there on Team Banky Pound, man. I appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. You back up in here, man. 33 years of prison stories. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate all the support. Shout out to El Ra, man. Brick City. Jenase Kwa, Mr. Jenase Kwa himself. Out there making big moves, doing big things, man. He's one of the first guys that looked out for me when I got out here and started doing YouTube. Sent me some boxing gloves and some other material. And he been solid ever since. And he out there making some big moves. Y'all check him out, man. And in Jersey, man, he got hats, shirts, hoodies, glasses, shorts. He got the whole works. He's doing his thing out there. So salute to him. And he's the one who also introduced me to my man Sean G. Salute Sean G out there doing his thing as well. Salute to the brothers, man. You know, support is support. You know, they support me, I support them. So it's a beautiful thing, man. Positive energy. Today, I want to start something new. Y'all let me know in the comments. I need the comments. Y'all talk to me, man. I talk back. I want to start something new. If you ever seen the TV show, What Would You Do? You know, so I want to give y'all some scenarios in prison, man. Like, what would you do? You know, because these are some of the things that you're going to be faced with in prison. And it's real. You know, realer than real deal Holyfield. You know, so I wanted to run some of these things by y'all. Excuse me. Still dog tired, man. Dog tired, been traveling, you know, the time zone difference and, you know, but I'm working it out, man. I'm working it out. All for y'all. But in this version, man, of What Would You Do, you know, prison style, I can remember being locked up with this dude named Chicago, right? Chicago was a big dude, man. He was real big. He worked out all the time. He probably was about 6'3", probably about 240. He worked out all the time, and his thing was, you know, I don't know what his sentence was. I don't know how much time he had, but his thing was that he loved messing with the boys, right? Now, when he had a boy, it was all good. It was all gravy. He had this one boy named CC. He was with this boy all the time. I mean, for years, you know, before I got on the compound. And I heard, you know, they had already been together for years before I got on the compound. But when I got on the compound, he was still with him for a couple of years. And then CC ended up getting transferred, right? And when CC got transferred, then, you know, Chicago, he lost his mind. You know, he lost all of it. You know, he didn't want nobody in the cell with him. But in prison, you don't have that option to have somebody in the cell with you. They're gonna put, you know, somebody in the cell with you because that's what it calls for. Every bed has to be filled, you know. And Chicago was of the impression that anybody moved in the cell with him, then, you know, he wanted them to be a homosexual. If they weren't gonna move in the cell with him to be a homosexual to fulfill his needs, then he didn't want them in the cell. So, you know, the administration gonna put somebody in there anyway. So everybody that they put in their cell, you know, Chicago more or less proposition them or either try to run them out the cell. Now, you know, we in prison, so, you know, if dude even proposition you like that, but even outside of prison, you a man. If a dude proposition another man like that, then your only response should be bang, bang, bang. You know what I'm saying? It should not be nothing else. It ain't no what? What you talking about? I mean, no, I don't get down like that. Or now, bang, 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 bang. That's what it should be. But mind you, like I say, Chicago was a big dude. You know what I'm saying? He was a real big dude, and he worked out all the time, and he was aggressive. So if a dude ain't got no heart, if he ain't got no, go get it for himself, you know what I'm saying, then he gonna be scared. And the thing about prison, just like anywhere else, man, you got vultures in prison, man. You got vultures. They smell weakness. They sense weakness. You know what I'm saying? If you act like you scared, they gonna feel like you scared. If they feel like you scared, then they gonna pounce on you. Be it if they trying to extort you, being if they trying to assault you, being if they trying to, take something from you. If they smell that weakness, man, they're gonna pounce on you. So you have to be on your P's and Q's at all times. And you have to be willing to go all out. And you also have to be willing to get hurt. That's just a part of life. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't willing to get hurt, you should not even go to prison, because the chances of you encountering a situation that's gonna cause you some pain is like extremely high. Period. That's just the way it goes. It's the nature of the environment. So as they put dudes in there with Chicago, he had came up with his own little whatever you want to call it, routine of how he was gonna go about people that was coming in the cell with him. So he would get dudes in the cell with him, man, and he would, basically ask them, man, what they was into, if they was into that, and they say no or whatever, he told them he prefer them to get out. You know what I'm saying? You got to leave, because, I'm holding this cell for, for some peoples, so you got to leave. So you had a few dudes that would not want to leave because they don't want to go to the administration, because it's going to look like they checking in. If you go out, if you let a dude run you out your cell, that's just the ultimate flag of somebody done punk you out, or you scared, or you a sucker. You know what I'm saying? So either way, it's going to bring about you a whole lot of problems. So you had some dudes be trying to be like, man, yeah, man, when the people move me, man, I'm going to move, man, but I can't just up and go. I ain't got no power. I ain't administration. They put me up in here, blah, blah, blah. Chicago be like, okay. So he wait a couple of days, and he will wait for one of the counts to come around, the last count, the nighttime count, when the police is gone. And then when the police is gone, what Chicago would do was he would go take his shower late at night and then come back in the cell with his robe on, right? He would wait for the people to do the count or whatnot. When they leave, he would put his Timberland boots on and go look out the door and see that the police was gone and the coast was clear, wait for him to cut the lights down. At the last count, they cut the lights down. Chicago would turn around with the robe on and open up the robe and don't have nothing on but his Timberlands and the Bethlehem in his hand. Yeah. And ask, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You gonna fight, or you gonna, you know what I'm saying? And man, he was getting them. He was getting them. And some dudes, they was submitting and falling for it, and then they'll wake up in the morning, or they'll wake up 2 or 3 days later, or they'll go a week or 2 weeks or whatever it may be, and then they'll go try to find a way to check out. They'll check out, but they wouldn't tell on them because they was embarrassed. They wouldn't tell because they was humiliated. But he was actually in there assaulting all of his cellies, man. All of his cellies. And he was telling people, that was his routine. He said, yeah, they come up in there, man. Shh. I done told him. I asked him off the top, then. You know what I'm saying? Man, I throw that robe on, they know what time it is. I turn around, he said, either I'm poking or I'm poking. One of the two. You know what I'm saying? And man, he was terrorizing them, man. And he had some dudes that was they was terrified of him. They was scared to death, man. And he was getting away with it for a minute until somebody actually went and told on him, and that's how he ended up getting towed off. He ended up getting locked up over the situation, and that's a case. That's a street case. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I don't know what his time was. I don't know how much time he actually had. But at the same time, he was willing to risk that. You know what I'm saying? He was willing to risk it. And that's what that's vicious. So when you in those type of moments, right, a lot of people, they will shrink. And then I know a lot of people out here listening, they might say, oh no, he got to kill me, he got to stab me, I ain't going for. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because it wasn't no question he was gonna put the Bethlehem in. It wasn't no question about it. You know what I'm saying? When you make a play like that, that's what you got to do. You got to follow through. And he don't really know, even just by the looks of a person, where can he fight or whatever. He just go judging by his size and making his play. So whatever they gonna do, he don't know. So he got to be prepared to push that Bethlehem, because he done pulled it out. And he done exposed himself to another man. You see what I'm saying? So put yourself on that other end of how he must have felt. The dude, he probably was horrified. He probably was terrified and everything else. Just looking at this dude, big old dude standing up here naked, telling him to do this or he gonna get that. See what I'm saying? Now most men, you know, to be honest with you, they not cut from that cloth. They want to fight, they don't want to submit, but the fear overtakes them of getting hurt, of losing their life. You see what I'm saying? But then you have other men, men that I'd rather lose my life than my manhood. Period. You know what I'm saying? If that's how it's going down, that's just how it gotta be. But that's what I would prefer. I'm going out fighting. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to take the knife. I'm gonna try to stop you. You know what I'm saying? That's the other different mentalities. You got both or both. You know what I'm saying? And the dude that's scared, he may not be with that at all. He may not be, but he just ain't got the courage to fight the knife. He ain't got the courage to run up on the Bethlehem. He don't have that. He's looking at a big 12, 13-inch Bethlehem, and the man is obviously serious because he done got naked in front of you. He done propositioned you. So it's a situation, man. It's a situation. You know, it's a situation, and those are the situations that occur in prison. Those are the things that a lot of people is faced with. Those are the things that a lot of y'all may not hear about because, like I say, dude might have been on the receiving end of it, so they don't talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. But I'm letting y'all know this is what goes down in prison. And Chicago ain't by itself. He ain't in no exclusive club. You know what I'm saying? He's most definitely not in no exclusive club. You know what I'm saying? You have those type of characters lurking around in every prison. You know what I'm saying? Probably in every block. You know, so they prey on the dudes. They prey on the weak. Chicago just had a thing about he just was getting everybody who came in his cell. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. Now he could have got the short end of the stick, and they put a stone cold killer in there who might have already heard about him and might have already came in there prepared and might have did something to him before he even made a move. You see what I'm saying? All of these are different scenarios that go down in prison. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody talk. It ain't like people ain't know what he was about. So they putting these dudes in there, but they putting green dudes in there. They putting young dudes in there. They putting white dudes in there. They putting dudes in there that's already scared. But he could have got a killer that came in there. Would he have tried it then? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But he was hell bent on doing what he wanted to do. You know, and then he ended up years later, I seen him years later, on a whole nother camp with CC again. He was back with CC again on a whole nother camp. And CC coincidentally was already gay before they came to prison, but CC had came to prison, to my understanding, for killing their lover on the street with the Bethlehem. With the Bethlehem. So, you know, he living up under there with them, being the man and trying to, you know, dictate and run things, and he living with a killer. Even though it's a homosexual, it's still a killer. And they have killed before under the same circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with their lover. So, you know, he had a different type of mentality, man. And when you just would see him and pass by or whatever, you could not even tell that about. I didn't even know that about him at first. I didn't even see that in his character. You know what I'm saying? But the most of the time that I had seen him, he was already in a relationship with Cece. So he was calm. He was, you know, always, you know, laughing. He played basketball. He lifted weights, and he, you know, he just was never problematic. But when them people left, man, he turned into a whole nother animal. A whole nother animal, man. And yeah, that's what he was doing. That's exactly what he was doing. And I know from the time that I was there that I knew of him doing it and what was going on, it might have been anywhere from 6 to 8 dudes that went in and out their cell before he got tore off. So who knows how many of them submitted? Who knows how many of them didn't? Nobody really knows. Everybody just goes by what he say, because he was talking and he was telling it like it was, like it won't nothing. Yeah, it's gonna be known. You come up in here, you ain't coming up in here if you ain't doing nothing. Straight up. That's how I'm carrying it. Period. I don't care who they put in there. That's what's going down. They come up in there, come up in this cell. Yeah, that's what's happening. And that was his version of the story, man. And we know for a fact though, in that M block, we know for a fact them dudes was rotating, getting up out that cell. And ain't nobody was in there for more than a couple of days or a week or two at a time. They was up out there. You know what I'm saying? And everybody was like, man, what these dudes keep leaving? That's when he started spilling. He said, man, you know what time it is in my cell? They come up in my cell, you already know what's going on. They ain't coming up in there. I don't want them in there. Yeah, I don't want them up in there unless they doing what I need them to do. I'm doing this time, and that's how I'm doing it. So he had no shame in what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? And dudes probably looked at him in a certain type of way, but won't nobody really approaching him about it, because like I say, that's his business. That's how he want to carry it, and that's how he carry it. But these are prison situations. These is what I be preaching and telling these stories for. That's what I be letting these young dudes know, man, that your freedom is everything, my bro. It's everything, no matter what you got going on out here. You don't want to be in there living this type of life. You don't even want to be put in them type of situations. Even if you prevail, you lose. It's a lose-lose situation. If you kill him in there, what you gonna say? Oh, he tried to molest me or whatever. Man, them people they don't care nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? They care something about that body got took it on their watch. They care about that's a paycheck that's going for them. So they gonna try to crucify you. You gonna have to convince them in the court of law that you was doing it in self-defense. You gonna have to convince them in a court of law, because you can lay flat and believe you gonna get charged. Yeah, you can lay flat and believe that. They gonna give you a charge. Believe that. Murder at that. So, it's a crazy situation. It's a crazy dynamic, man. But these are prison situations, man. So I ask you, what would you do? What would you do in that situation? And be honest with yourself. You know if you're going to fight or not. You know if you ain't willing to die. It's easy to say you not. But it's different if you right in that moment. That's when you know who you are and what you will and what you won't do. You have to be solidified in your mind what you will and what you won't do. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to say or fight somebody with a knife with deadly intentions. Or just like it ain't easy to run up on somebody out on the street with a gun. But you have to put the value on your life. What you willing to die for and what you willing to live for. It's certain things that you got to be willing to die for. And then my thing is, don't put yourself in prison to be forced to make those type of decisions. You see what I'm saying? Don't put yourself in prison where you got to be saying, well, I'm willing to die for this. You could be willing to die for it, but you don't never have to face that situation. But in prison, you just might have to face that situation. That's the difference in freedom and incarceration. You see what I'm saying? You may not never be faced with this. You may not never have to use the resolve, the lion that's inside of you. You may not never have to do it. And then even if you do, you don't know if you're going to prevail or not. You very well could get killed. You very well could get injured beyond repair. Who knows? See what I'm saying? But I know, I'm not saying it's impossible for those scenarios not to happen on the street, but I know the ratio goes way down if you out here in the free world. Way down of that possibility of being encountered with some foolishness like that. Trust me, but yeah, I just wanted to run that by you, man. I wanted to see how y'all respond to this. You let me know, man, because there's a lot of what would you do situations in prison, especially for people who've never been in prison, because these are situations the dudes are faced with every day, probably in every prison in the whole country, because of the situation that we done put ourselves in by not making great decisions while we was out here. Anything, man, I'm gonna keep saying that. I heard that recently, and I just think it's real prophetic, real profound. Anything that got prison attached to it, man, you should detach yourself from it. People, incidents, capers, flim-flammery, tomfoolery, larceny. If it got prison attached to it, where you can go to prison behind it, where you could possibly end up you need to detach yourself from it. Anything that you attach to that got prison attached to it, you need to detach yourself from it, man. You know, so y'all talk to me in the comments, man. Y'all know I talk back. Let me know if y'all want some more of these. What would you do, you know, in prison? So y'all be safe out there, man. Be smart. Make good decisions, man. I'll be back at you in a minute, man. I'm getting my energy back. Boom, 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 boom. Duck them hooks. Let's see how fast that hook is. Boom. Did you catch that? Alright, peace.
The Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure delicious.
Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.